You're listening to the VA Claims Authority. I'm Gary, Air Force veteran, VA disability claims strategist, and the guy who got denied fought back and won. I'm here to make sure the VA doesn't leave you behind. Whether you're filing your first claim or fighting your fifth appeal, this is your briefing. Let's get into it. Hook. Most secondary claims fail for one reason, not because you don't have a disability, but because there's no clear medical nexus tying the new condition to your service-connected disability. That single missing sentence costs vets benefits every day. Promise, in the next 10 minutes, I'll give you a bite-sized playbook, an evidence checklist, exact nexus wording you can ask your doc to use, the forms to file, and one specific action you can take right now to start a claim that sticks. Defining the problem, what is a secondary service connection? Plainly, it's when a condition you now have is caused or made worse by a condition the VA already says is service-connected. Example, an ankle injury from service later changes your gait and wears out your knee. That knee arthritis can be secondary to the ankle. Or a psychiatric medication you take for service-connected PTSD causes reflux or weight gain that leads to GERD. Legally, VA looks for two things: direct causation, the primary condition caused the new one, or aggravation, the primary condition made a pre-existing condition worse. You need to show that causal link. Period. Evidence that wins, the priority documents. Start with treating notes that show symptoms and progression over time. If your doctor mentioned the connection in a note, highlight it. Medication records matter when meds cause side effects. Imaging X-rays, MRIs that show structural changes are powerful. Work restrictions or physical therapy records that tie functional loss to the service-connected condition help a lot. Most importantly, timing. VA wants a believable timeline showing how the primary condition preceded and led to the secondary problem. A timeline could be as simple as dated notes, ER visits, and the first complaint about the new issue. How to timestamp a believable onset. Use dated medical visits, work injury reports, supervisor statements, and even personal records. For example, a note from your primary care visit that lists when symptoms started. Lay statements from you or family that describe when problems began and how they followed the service-connected condition are valid evidence when they're detailed and consistent. Avoid vague lines like, "It started years ago." Give months, years, and events. Getting a nexus, the single most important piece. ABA acceptable medical nexus ties the secondary condition directly to your service-connected condition and uses the VA standard language, at least as likely as not, meaning a 50% or greater probability. You can ask your treating clinician to write a short, clear statement. Use this script with them. Please include a medical opinion that states, to a reasonable degree of medical certainty, whether the veteran's secondary condition was at least as likely as not, 50% or greater, caused by or aggravated by the service-connected primary condition. Say it exactly. It tells them the VA standard and avoids vague phrases that get dismissed. Sample nexus sentences you can hand to a clinician. 1. It is at least as likely as not that the veteran's right knee osteoarthritis was aggravated by altered gait from the service-connected right ankle injury. 2. To a reasonable degree of medical certainty, chronic GERD is at least as likely as not related to long-term use of sertraline prescribed for service-connected PTSD. Short, direct, and using the at least as likely as not phrase, that's what VA wants to see. Private nexus letters versus treating provider notes. When to use which? If your treating provider will write the nexus, that's usually best because VA gives weight to ongoing care providers. If they won't or can't, a private specialist letter can be effective, but it must be detailed, cite records, explain the medical rationale, and use VA standard language. Also use VA Form 21-4142 and 21-4142A to authorize release of private records and ask the VA to obtain evidence you already gave another provider. That keeps VA from saying they don't have the records. Forms and filing lane. For a new secondary claim, use VA Form 21 to 526EZ. If you already have an open claim stream for the service-connected condition and you want VA to consider the new condition tied to that, file it as a supplemental claim for new and relevant evidence, or submit a new claim clearly labeled secondary to the awarded condition. If you just realized you have new evidence but want the earliest possible effective date, file an intent to file first that preserves the earlier effective date while you gather evidence. Upload everything via va.gov, mail it, or deliver it to your regional office, but always label the claim header, secondary claim to, name of service-connected condition, so VA routes it correctly. Effective dates and rating strategy. Secondary claims get effective dates based on the date you file for that condition, unless the evidence shows the condition began earlier and you file an intent to file or a timely claim. If your secondary condition is clearly worse symptoms of an already service-connected area, sometimes an increased claim is better than a separate secondary claim. Talk to a representative about that. For ratings, show functional limitation, not just pain. Use objective tests, range of motion numbers, imaging, and work or activity restrictions to frame severity. Combine evaluations correctly. Your combined disability rating can be a lot better than standalone numbers if you document how conditions limit daily life. Action step. What to do today? Write a 3-sentence lay statement linking the secondary condition to your service-connected condition. Attach it to VA Form 21 to 526EZ or your supplemental claim and upload it via va.gov. Here's a template you can use word for word. I, your name, state that my secondary condition began on or about month per year. This condition started after my service-connected primary condition and has gotten worse because of it. For example, brief, concrete example. I believe, to a reasonable degree of medical certainty, these problems are related. Signature. Your name. Do that today. Even if you don't yet have a nexus letter, the detailed lay statement and existing records start the clock. If VA denies a secondary claim because they say there's no nexus, don't panic. Get a private specialist nexus letter that cites records and explains the medical connection in detail. Then file it as new and material evidence with a supplemental claim. Often that single detailed opinion flips a denial into a grant. Close. If you want the exact templates, sample nexus sentences, and a checklist I use with clients, head to vaclaimsauthority.com. You'll find downloadable forms and sample letters ready to print. If this episode helped you, share it with a veteran who needs to hear it, and leave a review so other vets can find the briefing. That's your briefing. Now go execute. If you need help with your claim, whether it's an audit, a rebuttal, or a full strategy session, head to vaclaimsauthority.com. I've got the tools and the experience to help you win. I'll see you next episode. And remember, your service earned this. Don't let paperwork take it from you. The VA won't tell you this. I will.